down 5. Bryant goes to work. Bryant the drive. Oh! Kobe Bryant on a rack attack. Posey will defend. Oh! LeBron James with no regard for human life.
Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James.
Here comes McCready. Oh, he just sucked the gravity right out of the building.
I like my meatballs spicy.
Irving and Curry, one-on-one.
Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 5th edition of the Hoop There It Is podcast.
Hello.
And hello.
Hi.
Hi. It's going to be a different episode this time. Joe could not get off of probation.
No, his dad actually picked him up finally.
Oh?
He's shooting free throws.
Yeah, Joe's shooting free throws at a bar or coffee shop.
No, I think he's shooting free throws behind his house. With like the small goal though, not regulation size.
Like the Fisher Price one?
Yep.
That's the only one I can still dunk on.
Yeah, did you see that video of Kyrie crossing Mike Miller's son?
No.
It was on Twitter. So he's at Mike Miller's house. Apparently Mike Miller is videotaping this whole thing. Kyrie like crosses him. Mike Miller's son falls, and then he just lays it up on a fucking Fisher Price goal.
That's fucking awesome.
It was good.
So, guys, if you want to support the podcast, the best way to do it is give us a 5-star slam dunk review and rating.
God.
Make sure you do that. Actually, at some point, Joe and I talked about this. I don't know if you know this, but Joe and I talked about getting some stickers done with the logo. So
That was a 5-star slam dunk review?
No, just our
thank
logo.
God. Okay, good.
No, but you have to give a 5-star slam dunk review, and we'll give out stickers. Swag, stuff we all get. I watched a lot of The Office last night.
Okay.
And you can also follow the podcast at Hoop There It Is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We've got that out of the way.
Hoop There Pod.
Hoop There Pod. And we are still truly a podcast.
Yeah, we are. And also, please give us ratings and reviews. Give us feedback. That's what we need as a startup podcast. That would be kind of nice.
Yeah. We kind of dicked around with, Teach talked about doing some NBA 2K play along.
Yeah. And I think what I might do is start hopping on Twitch and doing some live streams. 2K20 is about to come out.
Yeah.
But I'm still playing on 2K19, doing some GM modes of trying to rebuild the Knicks, the Kings, the Hawks.
I think the Kings might be worse.
The Kings are pretty tough to rebuild, but they have a lot of good young talent. Marvin Bagley, boy's the truth.
That's true. So I think we should probably do it on, we'll do a Hoop There It Is Twitch channel probably. That way you guys can follow that. We can all jump on because I'll do that as well.
That'll be fun.
And then we talked about doing some other stuff that's in the works, but we'll go on from there. But this week's topic, this episode, we're going to talk about Team USA basketball because it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. They've been in the news as of late. Not the most positive of news, just because everybody's been dropping out. But at the same time, I think they still have a pretty solid roster.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's weird that they've lost a lot of the big star names. Like
Sure.
there's not a lot of name recognition on this.
We're not going to call this team the dream team, but they're still pretty fucking good.
Right. Well, they're always going to be really good because it's NBA talent. Like,
right.
This isn't like other countries where they're not really using their NBA talent,
True.
or they just don't have the plethora of talent like we do here.
Right.
But it's almost like the basketball team, like the USA basketball team used to be a big thing, right? Like we used to love to, basketball players would want to play there. We had like LeBron play on there,
Yep.
Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, all these big names. But now the stars in there, like we're not seeing Anthony Davis on this team.
No.
We're not seeing Kyrie play on this team. I think Damian Lillard just defected. He didn't want to play there.
No.
CJ McCollum's not playing. So
we're not seeing Jimmy Butler, which
he just bailed too.
I have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's not here, and I did not expect him to be here, but I owe him an apology. And I owe all of our fans an apology. Jimmy Butler is not a villain.
He's not a villain.
To go back, I have turned over a new leaf, Anthony. Here's why I thought he was a villain. Is because I feel like he was a villain in Minnesota, but then I started looking at some like highlights and started looking over at some old videos of him on the 76ers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a villain. He was not a villain in 76ers. He was a villain he was a villain in Minnesota, I think. But I wanted to apologize, Joe. Listeners, I'm sorry.
Well, and that's the crazy thing is too. Like, if you guys we did the heroes and villains last week, and that's the kind of stuff that I think would be a lot of fun to engage. For you guys, let us know what you think.
Yeah,
tell us if we're fucking bums. That'd be awesome to know. But let's talk about the people that have left this team.
Yes,
there are lots of stars that bailed. Anthony Davis removed his name from consideration to
makes sense
to prepare for a championship run with the new look Lakers on the 14th. James Harden left because preparing for the Rocket season.
And he forgot how to play defense. Oops.
But that's like the perfect place for him.
That's
they
true.
don't play defense in FIBA. Tobias Harris, Eric Gordon, CJ McCollum, they all pulled out after
I was
Harden.
really surprised about those three guys.
Eric Gordon's the one that surprises me.
Yeah.
Because why?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know where Eric Gordon plays right now, to be
Eric
honest.
Gordon?
Yeah.
Isn't he with the Rockets still? Eric Gordon?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
playing for the Rockets.
Yeah.
So they think they're going for a run, probably. Bradley Beal also bailed, but he's getting paid. So I get it. Damian Lillard and DeMar DeRozan. These are all the noticeable withdrawals we've seen.
No,
from
I
the
don't.
team.
I don't understand the DeMar DeRozan. I do not understand.
He's in
that.
San Antonio.
Yeah.
So what does he have to prepare for?
He
He doesn't need the legs. They're probably not going to make the playoffs.
They probably will. It's San Antonio.
Yeah, but yeah.
I was more surprised about the fact that DeMar DeRozan bailed, even though Pop is the head coach. I figured that he would have wanted, to kind of really play more for Pop, but at the same time, it's Pop. Who cares? But I just it struck me as a bit odd that he would actually bail.
Yeah.
I don't see the point.
So what confuses me about this though is, we're both 30. So in our days,
Wait, we're 30?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Almost 31.
Don't.
Wow.
Don't. Next thing you know, we're going to be as old as Charles Barkley.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're going to just start talking nonsense, even more than we already do.
That's true.
Which would be terrible.
But then maybe we could be on Inside the NBA.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
I just want to work with Ernie.
Shaq.
Oh yeah, Shaq. But I meant Ernie. I love Ernie.
Yeah.
Anyway, off topic. But yeah, there's a big difference between the dream team when we were kids and the dream team now, right?
Right.
It's not even a dream team anymore. It's just the NBA basketball,
Sure.
U.S. team. And what we're used to seeing when we were younger is like Wheaties boxes. We saw the fucking dream team. We saw Jordan, we saw Barkley, we saw these big name NBA players that gave it their all. They played less games, I think, at that time, a little bit less, right?
I think so, but no. I mean, I think the season might have been less, but they played more games consistently. Everybody sits games out now.
Everybody sits games out, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they played. It's just different because you expect guys LeBron's 32. I get it. You're kind of past your Olympic time. And this is not the Olympic team. This is FIBA. But we still saw these guys playing, and it's more time to hoop, more time to get you perfect your craft. A lot of these names that are withdrawing could use the extra time, I think.
Well, here's the thing. I think this correlates with what we've been talking about in previous episodes. The league is changing.
Right.
And all of these big name guys are pulling out because I honestly, I think one of the biggest reasons why all of these big names are pulling out, Paul George injury. I think it changed a lot.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because he was on that team,
right.
And that's when that injury happened. And it was on a scrimmage, homie.
That's right. It was a blue-white game.
It was a scrimmage, and that shit happened. I think that a lot of players were like, you know what? I'm not getting paid nearly as much for this. My with the way that the league is transitioning,
right,
with the NBA being bigger and bigger, I think that a lot of players are going to take more attention towards the NBA as opposed to a national team.
So the injury thing, I like that a lot because it is like you don't want to play the extra games. Like the reason why people understand why LeBron was out for half a season last year.
It cost Paul George money.
It cost Paul George money.
A lot of it.
And the other thing too is like with your guys like LeBron, like we saw he already missed half a season
right
from a groin injury. He wasn't even on the team anyway. But
well, he could have played. That was because they were out of contention.
They're out of contention.
Yeah,
and he's got miles and miles and miles on
yeah,
those
I mean,
legs.
like that's silly because LeBron's going to rest because they're out of contention. Like he knew that this season was going to be lost.
Right.
He knew it.
So McCollum is one that I think could have used some extra time. Like, that's the thing is...
I think so. I agree. But look at it from this standpoint. Portland had a pretty deep run in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He bounces right back and starts playing for, the national team with FIBA. That's a lot of mileage. These guys are going to start thinking about the mileage that they have when they actually reach the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the mileage that LeBron has.
Oh, yeah. Like, nobody's
How
had mileage on those legs
consistent,
like that.
How consistent he's been in the playoffs, how much mileage he has. I think that a lot of guys are really taking that into effect, and they're like, you know what? I would love to play for the national team, but it's in my best interest where I'm making my money to kind of sit it out, relax, rest.
Yeah, so that's a good point. That's a really good point. And it's just weird, though, because we are used to, like, there used to be this pride with playing for the national team.
Sure.
That I just don't know if it's there anymore, because they do have to think about this, right? Like, the NBA is more profitable now than it was in the 90s, probably. Yeah. I would imagine it had to be. Even with Jordan being on top, there's no way they're making the money like they were making the money like they are now.
It'd be interesting to that's probably something we should look up just to see conversion rates and everything. But
I mean, definitely player contracts are definitely bigger now.
Well,
like
sure,
there's a
but that's
lot more money to
inflation.
lose.
It always happens.
Right. Well, I don't know, but they're like.
I mean, in all sports, all contracts are bigger now.
Right.
It's just a matter of inflation. With that being said, though, I'm curious to see with the players that are still left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll go over that roster here in just a second.
Right. With the players that are still left, you kind of hinted towards this already.
Mm-hmm.
You would have liked to see McCollum stay on there.
Tobias Harris is a weird one too.
I agree.
Because
I completely agree.
Let me look up where he is. Unless you know off the top of your head where Tobias Harris is.
Tobias Harris was a weird one. McCollum was a weird one. There's really no one else that I thought that I wasn't too terribly surprised at, other than those two names.
Tobias Harris is on the Sixers, so I mean, if we're going with the reason why these guys are leaving, if that's why we think they are, is because of playoff runs, Sixers are going to make, for sure, they're making a deep run this year.
There's definitely a trend.
Right.
You got Marvin Bagley, who's actually on the roster, young and upcomer. The Kings aren't making the playoffs anytime soon.
No, God, no.
So he needs all the experience he can get, which I think Marvin Bagley is going to be on the Kings until his rookie contract's out, and then he's bouncing.
Probably.
There's
no reason to stay there now.
He has a lot of talent, too.
Yeah.
Good old Harrison Barnes, who is also a Sacramento King.
Right.
He's doing it. Why not?
I mean, if he at least can show that he does have some skill, because he's just not been a great NBA player since he left the Warriors. He's been fine.
He was pretty good on the Mavs. He's not a star.
He's not a star.
That's
like
the issue.
Thinks he is.
That's the issue. But the thing is that he's never been a star.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be a tour. You have your star.
Right.
Okay. In a perfect world, you have Luka as your star, and you have Harrison Barnes, as your 2 or 3 guy.
For the Mavs, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But that was not the way that the team was kind of put together at the time.
Right.
We paid him too much money, too. Jaylen Brown is another guy that's on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Young guy. There's been talks, and he kind of has the reputation of being disappointing compared to the guys that the Celtics did draft.
Right.
I think there's some promise in there. I like this move.
Right.
That he's actually going to be on the national team.
Mm-hmm.
I think he needs the experience.
Sure.
And the fact that Tatum's with him, I think that's going to help the Celtics actually more.
Yeah. And
really
Jaylen Brown's 22. I mean, he's still pretty young.
Yeah, for sure. Just based on where he was drafted, there's quite a few critics that are just like, ooh, he might be not nearly as good for where the Celtics took him.
Right.
De'Aaron Fox, lethal. There's a lot of Kings.
There's a lot of Kings and a lot of Celtics.
But the thing is that the Kings are a young team and they're promising.
Right. But
the issue is that they won't be able to keep them.
Right.
Because they never have been.
We'll get to the people that make up this team in a minute, because I have a thought after we get through the roster. But it's like there's 3 Kings, 3 Celtics.
Yep.
It's interesting. You get Joe Harris, who I know nothing about, but he plays for the Nets. He's 27 years old.
I'm pretty sure. Wait, Joe Harris? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he delivered my favor the other day.
I think he delivered my groceries and my favor today.
Yeah.
Because I'm that
he looks very familiar.
Kyle Kuzma, who's putting in all the work.
He is.
Kyle Kuzma's going to be